Head Speed MP Legend, introduction to the Hy-Bor family or era. In theory, it is here to increase the stability, increase the solidness on the impact. Not really that speed line needed, because it is one of the most stable and solid rackets line on the market, thanks to the slightly thicker beam and overall heavy specs. When I look at the specs, you can say right away that it is a tournament ready racket, and it can be a bit misleading because well, you have a bigger head size. Here the MP has a 16-19 string pattern, so some might think, hey, maybe it is a twinner racket, but you know, it is quite heavy, it is quite demanding. 32 centimeters balance, yeah, it's kind of neutral, but combined with a slightly bigger swing wave, it is not as straightforward, easy to jump in a racket. For example, I recently reviewed the Head Radical MP. Great paint job, great story behind this racket. Here you have a smaller head size, and yeah, you get a bit more control, a bit more feel. So in some ways it is a bit more demanding to hit clean, because also it has less power, but it is much easier to swing. So if somebody kinda doesn't know the playstyle or the racket's preference or the specs, Radical MP probably is the better choice here. But if you are looking for a bit more power, a bit more serious game, more penetration through the court, then you're looking at this big brother. And yeah, I had to customize Radical MP to get a bit more juice, to get a bit more of this natural plow through. Basically, I use plow through to find relaxation actually. So when you have enough plow through, it is easier to create loop and kind of get rid of the racket. The stroke becomes more fluid and calm. You don't have to accelerate like crazy, and yeah, speed MP is here to make things more fluid, more consistent. And you know, when I'm looking for a racket for myself, basically I'm fighting over two concepts. One is what I think I need now, like my form is this, I need this racket to help me play like I want. And the other concept is, okay, how my tennis might look in 1 month from now, what I want to achieve, what I want to build, and usually speed line is there on my list of potential switches. I am more an 1820 speed rackets guy, but this one maybe is my favorite speed MP to date. I have mixed feelings when it comes to the speed MP, because it is in some ways easier racket to perform well with, but in some ways it's not. Like 16-19, big head size, consistent beam, all great, but yeah, it is quite heavy, not like crazy heavy. It's in the territory of Blade 1820, I would say. Nothing extreme, but it's touching the surface of a heavier racket. And you know, basically I am coming from a heavy but a bit more headlight racket, so I can use the mass of the racket, and the wrist is kinda more in command of my movements. With the more head heavy balance, I kinda have to trust the racket that on the right time, on the right spot, it will start to turn. It's something that you have to get used to. Basically, it's a concept of what you want to feel with your wrist and how much you want to let the racket to do the job, or how much you want to be in command with your wrist. It is definitely a bit different swing style. Now let's discuss this Hy-Bor family and what I think Head team wanted to achieve. So my theory is that Speed is now a bit closer to the Prestige family. Not only through the feel, I think the feel is a bit closer to the Prestige family. The dwell time is a bit longer, and you know, with the shorter dwell time, the ball leaves the surface faster, and with a longer dwell time, obviously the ball stays longer. With this concept of longer contact time, you can have a bit longer strokes. Some say it is then a bit better for those kind of players that tend to guide the ball. If somebody has a wristy strokes, then probably might benefit from a faster release. With longer dwell time, it is a bit easier to control the ball. It's less surprising, and yeah, despite the launch angle of this racket being a bit higher than I am used to be honest, I was not as shocked with this launch angle because the launch was quite consistent. So I kind of have the trust in the racket that it will perform in a way I want to. And even though the launch angle was a bit higher, the control was great. I think it's mainly because of this Hy-Bor technology and this concept of shifting the speed line slightly towards the prestige line when it comes to the feel, touch, and basically pocketing sensation. So this leads me to another thing. Speed line might be a bit string sensitive. If you string it too high, you might kill the benefits of what the racket is trying to offer you. The feel might become a bit more boardy. So with lower tension, you get the comfort and you unlock what a racket has to give. Players are now looking for a bit more forgiveness, are looking for a bit more power, basically for a bit more easy performance, and Speedline is the best quick solution and first racket that comes to my head because it is a classic racket for modern days. Strings, I think 130 could be interesting. Here it is 125 head hawk touch. Great choice for this kind of racket, especially now with the Hy-Bor technology. And yeah, Lynx Tour probably might be too stiff unless you go very low with tension, but I think I would just stick to the round polys, you know, because I am looking at this as a more classic racket. You want to hit more flat and let the string bed do its job. Why I like Speed MP more than some other 100 square inches rackets is because it feels more classic. Like the sweet spot with most of the 100 square inches head size rackets, I feel like the sweet spot is a bit lower, and here you have a small catapult going on, and the shape of the speed line is making the sweet spot feel kind of like it's located here on the upper parts of the head, so it feels closer to those classic rackets like Prestige, or yeah, I used to play with the Angel TC95, so small head size, and back then, like, I don't know, 5 years ago, when there was a Graphene 360 Plus speed line, yeah, it was the only racket I think that I was considering switching to, because the feel of the impact was just close enough to what I want, which is crazy interesting because yeah, comparing 95 head size to 100 square inches head size is, you know, crazy. Like you have the forgiveness, but the feel of the impact is like having a smaller racket. So it is great. It is definitely one of the strongest points of the speed line. It is more forgiving, but feels like a classic racket. I'm not really sure if there is any other 100 square inches head size racket that feels that way. There is a risk of having too much of this catapult going on, or maybe the feel might be too mushy. The sweet spot might be located a bit lower, or maybe the sweet spot is so huge that I don't really feel the impact on the string bed, so it's less satisfying when you hit it clean. With the Speed line, Speed MP, Speed Pro, you have this. With the Speed MP, you definitely get a bit more lift above the net, but the spin potential isn't crazy big. Yeah, maybe because they wanted to keep the feel more classic. Less fireworks, but more serious game, more serious touch and feel. That's why I think Speedline in general is for tournament players and or coaches. And yeah, great racket. It looks great. It looks kind of serious compared to the Radical MP. The closest racket to the Speed MP is maybe E-Zone 98, but here you have 98 head size, slightly isometric, and Speed MP, yeah, a bit more rounded, more forgiving, but the feel on the impact is like having a smaller head size, which can be good and bad thing at the same time. In my case, as a more classically developed player, I think it is a great thing. So, guys, Speed MP, I hope to get a chance with the Speed Pro. I think in general the wave distribution just suits my playstyle a bit better. When it comes to the overall performance of the Speed MP or the feel of the stroke, swing style, not big changes coming from the previous Speed MP. I think the biggest difference is this introduction of Hy-Bor, and it changes the feel, it changes the sweet spot, it changes the maybe string tension tolerance, and yeah, it moved the speed line a bit towards the prestige line. Even though I don't really see myself switching over to the Speed MP, I must say I was quite surprised with the results. I played with my friends and yeah, I was quite competitive. So sometimes it is also, you know, a matter of ego, like what I see myself using versus what I should actually play with. Maybe I should just put my ego a bit down and use Speed MP, or maybe something easier like Radical MP. But at the same time, I really love the performance of the Speed MP. It gives me a bit more solid ball, and it is a bit easier to make life harder for the opponents. Yeah, tricky choices, right? Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe. See you soon. Bye bye.